Bonjour and welcome to another one of my videos. I am Alex and I am the Wandering Englishman. Today you find me just on the outskirts of beautiful Paris in the village of Giverny. Today we will take in Claude Monet's home and its beautiful gardens. Should you take the time to visit yourself? Well, let's find out. Claude Monet, possibly the master of Impressionism. Monet was born in 1840 in Paris. He is celebrated as the founding figure of the Impressionist movement. His approach to art, characterized by his fascination with light, color, and the natural world, marked a significant departure from the traditional approaches of his time and laid the groundwork for modern art. Monet's journey into the art world began in his youth, showing an early talent for drawing. He initially gained recognition for his caricatures before turning his focus on landscapes. His early years were marked by financial struggles and a lack of critical acceptance. This period was crucial in shaping his determination to break away from the conventional art practices of the time. Monet's formative experiences included studying under painters such as Eugene Boudin. They introduced him to painting outdoors, a practice that became central to his work. His time in Paris further exposed him to various artistic influences and future Impressionist colleagues like Pierre-Auguste Renoir and Edouard Manet and Camille Pissarro. You could say it was a medley of Impressionists. Monet's work began in the 1860s and the 1870s. It laid the foundation for Impressionism. The term Impressionism itself comes from his painting, Impression Sunrise, which when exhibited in 1874 was derided by critics but embraced by a growing number of artists and connoisseurs. This painting showcased what would become hallmarks of the Impressionist style, a focus on light and its changing qualities, lack of detail, and visible brushstrokes. Monet's art evolved over the decades. He moved from capturing urban and rural landscapes to focusing on a series of the same subject under different light conditions, such as haystacks and the Rouen Cathedral series. These series highlighted his fascination with how light and weather transformed their appearance of objects. But it was in 1883 that Monet moved to Giverny. This is where he developed his famous water garden, inspired by Japanese prints he had previously collected. The garden with its lily pond and Japanese bridge became the subject of his most famous series, the Water Lilies. These paintings, large scale and with focus on the reflections and play of light on the water, showed Monet's continued evolution and are considered some of his most important works of the early 20th century. And it is here that you find me, in Giverny, a place now that is a haven for art and nature. Giverny is a small village located in the Normandy region of northern France and about 35 to 45 minutes outside Paris. It has become synonymous with the life and work of Claude Monet, and it is thanks to Monet that the place has found recognition. This picturesque village over the years has transformed from a quiet agricultural community to the centre of an artistic pilgrimage and natural beauty, drawing visitors from around the world. The history of Giverny dates back to the Middle Ages, with its name likely derived from a local landowner. Over the centuries, it has evolved from being a feudal estate to a rural village with an economy primarily based on the farming and livestock. The serene environment and the lush landscapes of Giverny have been its defining characteristics for centuries. When Claude Monet arrived in 1883, he was attracted by the tranquility and the natural beauty of the village. He decided to rent a house along with its adjacent land. Later he would purchase the property and begin transforming it into the magnificent garden which would become the inspiration for many of his most famous paintings. Monet's gardens in Giverny are divided into two main parts: the Clos Normand and the Water Garden. The Clos Normand is in front of Monet's house. This garden is an array of floral arrangements and fruit trees. Here Monet applied a sense of colour and composition to the gardening, much like his paintings. The garden is a riot of colours with various flowers blooming in different seasons. The water garden, created on a separate plot across the road, is perhaps the most famous part of Monet's Giverny, inspired by Japanese gardens which Monet knew from prints he had collected, not because he had visited Japan. The garden features the famous lily pond and Japanese bridge covered with wisteras. It is the garden that inspired Monet's acclaimed Water Lilies series, showcasing his fascination with light, reflection, and the natural landscape. So here I am in Giverny, which is the home of, well, was the home of Claude Monet, and it is a tourist site. There's a lot of tourists here, as you can see. Back in the day when Monet would have been here, he would have been on his own, or maybe a couple of his friends would have been here, but he would have had his easel. He would have been staring down at the water lilies on the pond or in the stream. The stream would lead to the River Seine. This Giverny is basically by the River Seine. And he was an artist. He wasn't able to pay his rent until the age of 52. By the time he got to the age of 52, finally he could pay his first rent check. And then later in life, as he became more and more wealthy, he suddenly was able to, as they say, pay the bills. But as you can see, it's a very busy place, isn't it? You come here and it's almost like one of those Instagram videos. You have the image of what it might be, but then you realize you're surrounded by 1,000 other people.
Expectations. Reality.
So now we get our first vision of what the water lilies are as we move in.
Take one of John and I real quick. Yeah. Do you want me to take it or?
As you can see, very, very busy. But what are you going to do? Here we go. We have a gardener over here tending to the upkeep of the water lilies. He had something like 12 or 13 different gardeners working for him when he was at his peak. And over here we probably got the Japanese bridge that he was painting. But trying to get close to the water, problematic. And just trying to get around this, as you can see, very problematic. It's almost like a queuing system to see what is effectively just a pond, but because of the significance of the pond and some of the great works that Claude Monet produced, it's a tourist attraction. And a beautiful tourist attraction at that. Let's see what we can... You can imagine if you're here on your own, it'd be fantastic. The only negatives, it's right by a road, so we can hear the road. Sorry. As you can see, the sort of Japanese bridges that he would have painted, the sort of Japanese curved bridge that he would have painted. I think obviously modernized since he was here. I believe he died in 1926. He lived to the age of 86. You can step away from the crowds a little bit, but almost around every corner there's crowds of people. But beautiful streams.
Picture that we devised. That's how Blanche started to paint with him, and she was really taking. So she took care of the plants. She lived here. She watered the plants. She took care of the house and so on until she died in 1946.
The sound of the traffic getting bumped into as you're trying to speak. Notice the immense crowds over there as they try to get their pictures. Be prepared. This obviously being the Japanese bridge that he would have painted from over afar, either that one or this one. Probably reinforced since Claude was a resident here. Some beautiful boats we've got going on over here, but kind of ruined by the fact that, I mean, the number of people here is immense. It's really immense. I think all you can really do is laugh about it. It's just try to appreciate the bird song and just sort of say, well, this is the world of tourism these days. I note here next to the Japanese bridge is the bamboo forest. Next to the bamboo forest, keeping with the Japanese theme. If you're curious about bamboo, I made a video on bamboo in the south of France, southwest of France. Check out the bamboo video. And to be honest, if you're looking for a more authentic experience where there aren't crowds, that might be an option. Go to the places that haven't been put on the map yet by a famous artist and be the artist yourself. Alright, I'm going to try and find my way out of here and head towards his little flower gardens. To get from the Monet pond to his other part of the garden, we have to actually go under that busy road that we were talking about. That busy road where the traffic's constantly going. Right now, we're under the road. Nice way to get there, but it makes you wonder, could they not have done a detour? Here we spot some more of the many gardeners that work in this place. I think maybe some are volunteers, some are paid, it's hard to tell, but they do a fine job. Some of the flowers are truly remarkable.
It looks like we're on the performance of Rose's Balloon. And it was created by Claude Monet. The arches are original except the whiter ones, you see, because they have a straw.
It seems there's a little bit more space now, despite the fact that there's still crowds. It feels like there's more space, or maybe you just become used to it. But it is truly beautiful, very, very beautiful. You can imagine just the time and dedication that's spent sort of tending to these roses, weeding the flower beds, putting everything in order. Wow. It's this last bit that makes it all the worthwhile, I think. Reminds me of many an English garden, but this is obviously a French garden, but very, very similar. What is lovely, I think, is a nice touch of just the poppies just dotted around everywhere. Wild plants, manicured roses. Got here, got some apples, little apples. So it is still a very young garden in parts. A lot of this garden is probably significantly since Claude was here, but at the same time, a lot of it remains the same. The arch we saw back there, he put in place. He once said this was his greatest artistic adventure, the garden.
This is the house where Monet lived from 1883 until his death in 1926.
We would have had the great man's house. Obviously, once he started making mega bucks, he originally rented this place, but then he bought it. And why not? If only he knew that his latest artwork in 2019 sold for something like 110 million. The Haystacks, I believe.
Your bid, madam, at $97 million. Anybody else in this room may buy or bid, but now I sell to you, madam, for 97 million. 97, thank you.
The pink crushed brick house is preserved as it was with Monet's studio salon, his collection of Japanese prints, and the dining room and kitchen vividly painted. The house offers a deep insight into Monet's life, art, and his sources of inspiration.
Well, I was in part Claude Monet's house. I don't think he's had that many people in it in his lifetime. Maybe he did, maybe through the odd party, but every day, and the weekends is even worse, I hear. Because I heard someone in the gift shop saying, well, at the weekend it gets even worse.
Obviously, he was heavily inspired by Japan, and why not? It's the reason the Japanese garden with Japanese lily pads and also Japanese art. This is actually the kitchen. The stove, the sink. I think with that, I think we may head out. My advice would be, do not come on the tour bus. Try to make your own way here, possibly after lunch, possibly mid-afternoon. It might be less congested. It's very typical that tour buses will arrive in the morning, but at the same time it also might happen that tour buses arrive in the afternoon. So generally it's going to be very busy the whole time you're here, unless you get a private invitation, maybe. Obviously no visit of anything is complete unless of course you take in the Monet gift shop, and then over here we see this huge canvases, replicas of Monet's in the orangey which you find in central Paris, but inspired by these gardens. You get to see every major work by the artist, and over here you see some turkeys up here. I saw some chickens back there behind the fence. Maybe he once kept turkeys in the vicinity. Pillows, chickens, videos, you name it. There's the man himself, Mr. Claude Monet. It's off a t-shirt. Little spoons. Now I'm going to go head into the village and try to see if I can find something to eat. There's an Impressionist museum up here. I think that costs another 10 euros to get into. You can have ice cream here. I imagine the closer you are to the Monet's place, probably the more expensive it is. And here is a flower shop, a boutique of flowers. It's a very beautiful little village, but spoiled by these immense car parks on either side of it. My advice, walk as far from the crowds as possible. You often find that most people will go to the first or second place they see. If you keep walking, you'll find something. This is very typical to France. You walk anywhere in France, you'll see the French shutters, you'll see the ivy growing up the walls, beautiful walls, the entries. This is an old house but modernized, beautiful house. A lot of money probably there. You can see a cafe down the street, a little shop here maybe, hat shop. I could get a new hat. Okay. The shutters, modern day shutters on the top building here in a very old building. Very beautiful. This is one of the reasons a lot of people aspire to be in France, because of these beautiful little villages. You can see why he decided to settle here, and effectively what would have been his retirement years, but he didn't actually retire.
Following Monet's establishment in the village, several American Impressionist artists settled in the village, forming an artistic colony. These artists were drawn to Giverny because of Monet and the unique quality of light and landscape in the region. They lived and worked in Giverny and created a rich body of work, contributing to the village's reputation as a centre of artistic activity. Today, as you can see, Giverny is a very, very popular tourist destination, particularly for art lovers and garden enthusiasts. The foundation Claude Monet administers Monet's house and gardens, preserving them as they were in the painter's time. The village also hosts several art galleries and museums, including the Musée des Impressionismes, dedicated to the history of Impressionism.
Ice creams or crepes. I think we're just going to keep walking. This is a seriously beautiful village. Granted, it's mostly catered for tourists, but it's a very beautiful village.
Apart from the artistic heritage, Giverny is renowned for its local beauty. The village is surrounded by lush hills, fields and streams. The natural environment in Giverny continues to inspire painters, photographers and garden designers. The changing seasons offer a varying palette of colours and atmospheres, making every visit unique. Giverny's charm has captured
the imagination of writers and filmmakers. It has been a setting for numerous books and movies, often depicted as a place of refuge, inspiration, and artistic creativity. The cultural portrayal has further enhanced its mystique and appeal. The local community of Giverny, although small, is vibrant and engaged in preserving the village's heritage and natural environment. Annual festivals and events, often centered around the art in the gardens, contribute to the community spirit and offer visitors a glimpse into the local traditions and contemporary artistic expressions. More car parks welcoming the tourists. You can tell it's almost like a place entirely catered for tourists. But why not become what we would call in England a cottage industry, the industry of Monet. Giverny's global recognition is largely tied to Monet's legacy, but the village has established its own identity as a symbol of harmony between art and nature. It serves as a testament to the enduring influence of Impressionism and the universal appeal of natural beauty, and it stands as a living monument to the life and work of Claude Monet. It represents the convergence of art, nature, and human creativity, continuing to inspire and captivate all who wish to visit the enchanting village. But do be warned, it can get very, very busy. If you'd like to visit Monet's garden, and I haven't put you off by visiting Giverny, because it really is a beautiful place, there are multiple ways to get there. My recommendation would be to go via a tour operator like Viata. There's a link in the description. Viata do daily tours to Monet's gardens. Alternatively, there are multiple tour operators that are based out of Paris, and you can join them and they will take you there. Or, if you're feeling a bit more independent, you can get the train to Giverny. Once you've taken the train from Paris to Giverny, it's about a 1 hour walk from the train station to Monet's gardens, or there's a shuttle bus which will take you to outside of the village in about 10 minutes or so. Either way, it's a very easy place to visit, and if you can bear all the tourists, it is a wonderful, wonderful place. And I do recommend, if you're fancying a decent lunch, this place. I had a wonderful baguette and a fantastic glass of wine. Highly recommend it, and it makes my mouth water just looking at it. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. If you want to watch more content like this, check out one of my recommended videos, and I will see you next time.